Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophia, pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue the exploration in digging just a little bit deeper of this ancient language. Happened to be my mother tongue. I learned it the simplified Chinese way, and through going back in history in evolution of language, I enter an amazing world that's connected to the source, to the origins, and not only the origin, but over time, what things happened. And because language was created like thousands of years ago, and then eventually, especially in the 20th century, 21st century, after the Industrial Revolution, so many new things happen. And how does ancient language in response develop, evolve, repurpose itself to match up to the contemporary concepts. That's amazing to me. So I've been doing this for a while and I'm enjoying it. I hope you find this interesting to you. Okay, so 学舌, mimic tongue is today's expression. We don't normally use this phrase on its own, standing alone. Oftentimes we pair with 鹦鹉学舌. 鹦鹉 is a parrot. So parrot mimic tongue to describe a human behavior. That's like you're imitating somebody's style of speaking, or throwing big words to look as if you know something, like you're look taller than yourself. So that's what 学舌 is. But I guess for learning, the learning curve at the beginning, it got to be kind of a mimicking. Like you don't exactly know why you do it. You just do it. You just mimic. You start from the how, I guess, how you do it. And eventually, you know why you do it. Just like I mimic the language. I start to use my native language because that's what I was pointing to. That serves the purpose of communication or learning, right? The knowledge carried in this language. But that's at the beginning stage. Now I'm looking at the language from why it's expressed in this way. So from this how to why, it's a big jump. So this 学舌 is the how stage. Okay, 学. Again, Chinese, I guess I often heard this opinion. I'm not sure if it's true, but at least I know Chinese, in contemporary Chinese living, families, probably especially because it's one-child policy installment, like all the hopes, all the chances, all the best eggs are put in one basket. So for parents, it's very unnerving situation because you only have one child and you really, really want that child to do well. And so education is especially got like overheated, like placed too much on the burdening the younger generation to really excel, and you have to compete in school as well. So education was and still is a big thing for Chinese families. And I know like a Jewish family, they emphasize a lot, prioritize intellectual development. And I know Indians do that too. I'm not sure about American educational system. Yes. I guess people have a lot to say about education, public education over here. But okay, it seems like it's a slightly different prioritize. But okay, 学, this study was from the language creation point of view, it was a sacred or a privileged act or a place or space for this culture. It starts from this baby picture. You can visualize this is a baby, big head, 2 arms, 1 torso. It's a pre-walking stage baby, so basically infants. And then the 2 symmetrical looking thing is hands reaching down from apparently adults. So adults hand holding babies in this safe shelter. This arch means it's sheltered, it's away from natural elements. And then there's 2 crosses. You can view it either as intricate roofing structure in ancient temple. So imagine Japanese temple, complicated, highly decorated, intricate wood locking structure that Chinese families will pool resources together to build this temple-looking school. That's where they house their children to learn. So that's like a temple of knowledge. The second interpretation of this cross is network of knowledge, because knowledge, any single knowledge point, aka trivia, doesn't just stand alone. Because if standing alone is just data points, it doesn't mean anything. You have to do this networking thing, connect lots of dots, and then maybe you see some pattern, and that insight is considered knowledge. It's not a single point thing. It's this network thing. So we're going to school to learn, to master this network of information to build the knowledge system. Okay, so either view it as the space or the subject matter. That's network of knowledge or temple of knowledge, right? In any case, it's amazing rendering of what knowledge represents. It's highly regarded in the language culture, in the Chinese culture. So we have adults, children, cross-generational paths of this knowledge in this safe, protected environment. So that's what this character is made of. That's the meaning, and that's, I guess, the language creators, wish or hope for the depiction of what study is about. And in this case, I use mimic because study at the beginning stage is mimicking, right? Just like kids in China back then, before they even know anything about the world, about life, kids start to recite a ton of classical literature. So just by reciting, they kind of early on program to think in a certain way, to understand or to get close to the language, store a lot of data points in their brain. And the mimicking is the beginning stage of learning. So I guess this network of knowledge before you can build your own network is the sparkles of different data points that you're accumulating. So that mimicking stage is the early stage of learning. Okay, that's 学. 舌 is the tongue symbol in Chinese. It's made of the mouth. So overall, it means inside the mouth. Okay, inside is expressed by this arch thing or convex shape connected with this vertical line. It's a pointer. That is entering symbol. So for Chinese to express entering, meaning from one space entering into a new space, there is this original space in this arch form, and then this vertical line, almost like a puncturing, like a needle puncturing through a surface, entering into a new space. So that's how entering was expressed. And then this horizontal line is a kind of arrow pointing thing. It's an indicator to show, okay, this is what we mean, which means it's the new space that we're talking about. If this convex shape represents the original space, this puncturing, this needle thing is already entered into this new space. And when the indicator land on or intersect on this vertical line, which is the needle, which is the new space, it means it's already in that new space. And so when it pairs with entering, that means it's inside something already. And when it pairs with mouse, it means inside the mouse. Okay, very logical, right? It's a little bit twisted, but it's logical. So, because the tongue is a moving organ. It's very difficult to depict the structure of the tongue. Like you cannot exactly draw out the tongue because it changes shape all the time, right? And so Chinese language creator approached this concept by, instead of visualizing what tongue looks like, it tells you where it's located. It's inside the mouth, and that's the tongue. So mimic tongue. Tongue represent speaking, represent verbalization of something. So before you even know what the content is about, you mimic the form of the content first. So mimic the tongue, the the speaking of the language first without really understand what they're talking about. What's the intention? What's the, the thoughts, the chain of thoughts leading up to here? Like all that is unknown, but you mimic the tongue first. So that's the Chinese way to say parrot. And I put this cutie parrot picture over here to show you that 学舌 means you're parroting something, you're mimicking something, you're starting from the, the basic form. I guess in English we have the expression of fake it until you make it, right? So faking stage is this mimicking stage. You're behaving in a certain way without knowing why you're doing that, right? But at least you project your image as you're doing it mechanically, like a mimicking, aping something, or parroting in this phrase of 学舌, and then making it like, oh, you understand the whole chain of thoughts goes behind it. You know why now, not only how you do it, but you know why you do it. And that's the second stage. Okay, so 学舌, that's Chinese way to say mimicking or parroting. Cash into the currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.